alright, more of the same at Cappadoccia Open Air Museum. They've got all these former residencies over here. There's a few cathedrals, or shall I say chapels, cut out into the rocks over here. And you can see some more of those little holes that I noted in the valley yesterday. Now, I'm learning quite a lot today. Number one, the correct way to describe a small cut out section of rock is a niche, hence the expression to carve out a niche. There you go, never knew that. And number two, the purpose of those niches were for pigeons. Alright, and on the subject of etymology, I guess it's got something to do with the expression pigeonhole, although I can't see the relationship. So, but anyway, learning a lot. And the fascinating thing about the old pigeon situation was that they were incredibly useful for a range of purposes. So they'd keep the pigeons there and use them as like a messaging service, which obviously is not an alien concept. It was common, you know, all over Europe, and also eating them, of course, goes without saying. And what's the other thing? Oh yeah, even using the droppings as fertilizer and using the eggs as paint. Yeah, so 101 uses for pigeons, and those little niches were where they would fly to and away from. So quite fascinating, really. And this one here is St Basil's Chapel. Unfortunately, it's forbidden to film inside, and they don't really want you talking in there either because the vibrations will affect the paintwork. But I can say, again, all the faces have been scratched out except for one, and the one face that wasn't scratched out looked like maybe he was a soldier or something like that. So I think it's only the religious figures that they don't like the depictions of. Basically, I was gonna get Ali to explain that, but he's not here today, so I have to explain it myself, which is obviously gonna miss out some important information in that case. What they call idolatry, right? It's forbidden. One of the 10 commandments, even in Christianity, Judaism, says the same thing. But you know, Christians at least don't seem to care too much about that. I'm not sure how the Jews do it, but certainly I can say that Muslims will not have any depictions of anything of that nature. And obviously, because there is a kind of contrast between the those cultures, this part of the world is representative of the meeting of all those cultures. Obviously, there's been a lot of conflict in the past, and that is why in the caves you see the eyes scratched out in the depictions of you know, these religious figures, and indeed the entire faces scratched out. So interesting stuff. You know, not only are these tours you know, very beautiful, very fascinating locations, but they're also really educational as well. So well worth doing. Oh yeah, and also that is St Basil, as in St Basil's Cathedral in Moscow, another one of the world's, you know, most iconic buildings. So he was a Turkish guy apparently, but considered the father of Orthodox Christianity, which was pervasive in the Central Asian region. Right, that's the Apple Church. Really nice frescoes in there. You're not allowed to take pictures in there, but it's incredibly well preserved. You can see everything, but once again, the eyes and the faces scratched off. So yeah, really interesting.
Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. You can see this symbol like this, or this. I mean, they all symbolize a similar thing: Father, Son, and Holy Spirit in Christianity. You can.
That's the same one as in there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in almost every church. By the way, in almost every church inside this museum.
That's what it looks like in the Apple Church.
More or less 80 or 90%. You can watch they exhibit they cut their faces and eyes. And another reasons about population exchange. Maybe you know population exchange. You know. Around 1920s, the Turkish Republic was founded on 1923, and after the foundation of the Turkish Republic, there was there was some population exchange between Turkish and Greek people. So according to that population exchange, almost more than 80 or 90% of the Greek Orthodox people who were living in Turkey, not just in Cappadocia, some parts of Istanbul or Izmir, they had to leave their homes and they went to Greece and they settled there. It was an obligation. And similar thing for the Turkish people who were living in the Greece. They had to leave their homes and they had to turn back to Turkey and Anatolia, and they settled here. So I can see that more or less 2 million people left their homes, more than 1.2 million were the Greek people, more than 500,000 or 600,000 people, Turkish people. So before Greek Orthodox people left their Cappadocia, left their homes in Cappadocia, they took some pieces from the paintings, frescoes as a memory.
So these niches are some kind of storage receptacle. So that's probably just like a living room or a kitchen. It does have some kind of paintings on the wall, but I think if it were a chapel it would say so. Well, I can see why they call it an open air museum, because it is literally like a museum. It's like walking into each sort of exhibit. And the interiors are certainly a bit more varied than at previous locations. I don't know if this is some kind of altar. It's a bit similar to the room I was just in, right? With this valley around here. You would imagine there was some kind of practical purpose for that, wouldn't you? But maybe it's just like seats around the table. Well, it is a practical purpose, isn't it? More niches in the wall for I don't know what. I think I could carve out a niche for myself as a tour guide, actually, if this escapade doesn't work out, you know. I'm not sure if I'll be cut out for all the research required though, and the general level of knowledge one expects from such people in the industry, but do you know what I mean? Oh yeah, just fucking great views. I mean, I am a bit jaded today after the general lack of sleep, but you cannot tell me that this ain't some fantastic stuff. Some of the best in the world. Right. There you see it again. More religious imagery, faces all scratched out. This one, the dark church, that's an extra tenner in. 10 lira, do you know what I mean? It's only like €3, but to be honest, I think I've seen enough, you know. Although having said that, the guide did tell me that they are absolutely the best preserved paintings in there. So it probably is worth 10 lira, do you know what I mean? But I've spent so much this week and I've seen so much. I'm so fucked. So I'm not going to bother. You ain't seen me, Roy.